Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Freaks with a Z, the podcast all about movies. Every episode is about a singular movie, which we will discuss and talk about in a little bit. But first, as always, I need to invite you, the audience, to give us your movie recommendations. During Tay's episode, which is the next episode that'll air in 2 weeks, there will be a poll attached to the promotion of the episode on Twitter, which will have 4 movies that we will need to vote on. If you want your movie to be put on that list, you gotta recommend one now by either sending us an email at ff.filmfreaks with a Z at the end at gmail.com or commenting on the latest episode of Film Freaks with a Z on YouTube and or talking in my movie stuff section of my Discord, and I suppose sending us personal DMs also works as well. Any of those things works. We just like to get more movie recommendations in because we love your recommendations. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. I am uh, Yemmy the Maverick. Who am I here with?
Top waffles.
I had one, but I forgot it. Taymation.
Oh no!
That's my call sign.
Come on, guys. That's the best you can do. And I am Ice Blue Callus.
I knew you were going to say that one. I knew it. I knew it.
I thought of one yesterday after watching it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I gotta remember this." Totally forgot it.
Hopefully, you remember while we're talking.
Yeah, my sign out will be it. Maybe.
Well, how is everyone doing today? Hope y'all are doing well.
I'm doing good. Another
not bad.
week down.
All right.
Well, let's get right into the
Yeah.
danger. Let's get right into the danger zone. Greedy, why don't you go ahead and introduce the movie?
Okay, so the movie I picked because a sequel just came out, so I wanted to see this one before I see the new one, is Top Gun from 1986, directed by Tony Scott. So a little bit of synopsis. As students at the United States Navy's elite fighter weapons school compete at the best in the class, which is Top Gun, one daring young pilot learns a few things from a civilian instructor that are not taught in the classroom. And that's literally all the description is. So some of the writers is Jim Cash, Jack Epps Jr., Ihad Yuane. So a lot of actors in it, obviously. A lot of young ones too. Tom Cruise as Maverick, Kelly McGillis as Charlie, Val Kilmer as Ice, Anthony Edwards as Goose, Tom Skerritt as Viper. Some others is Tim Robbins, John Stockwell, Michael Ironside, and Meg Ryan. There's a bunch more. So actually, um, starting off, I want to start with the cast. Such a lot of big names here, especially nowadays. Some big names. So what do you guys think about the acting and just the overall? Like, I think one of the acting is one of the strongest suits of this movie. What do you guys think?
Well,
Alrighty then.
I know. I thought the acting was fine. A lot of them were newer at this stage of their lives. Like you said, we've grown up with these actors, so we definitely have seen them in more recent stuff. But yeah, I thought they did good, and this is why they kept with their careers.
Exactly. A lot of up and comers at the time that have really stuck around for a long time. I was like in the middle of drinking my water during that silence, and I nearly choked, like trying to come back to you guys.
I feel like I start off so often. I wanted to let someone else, give it a go.
True.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that it's a very well acted movie. I think everyone puts on a good performance. I think Val Kilmer and of course Tom Cruise are two of the standouts. Which obviously they went on to be in a lot of movies. Tom Cruise won, being in like every single Mission Impossible from here on out. And Val Kilmer ended up being Batman eventually for one movie, so
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that he really hit the top there with Batman Forever.
Oh, I see what you
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, he's been in a lot of good movies too.
No, yeah, he's obviously been in more than that. But yeah, I think the acting was great. Yeah, there's some really intense acting moments and a lot of fun acting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy to see, like, especially Tom Cruise. One to point out is just like see him nowadays age or like the movies that we know. Just seeing him so young and so like fresh into the acting career into this movie is just kind of crazy.
Yeah, I definitely feel like. So I've seen it like a picture going around that his teeth aren't straight. I feel like he's definitely corrected them as he got older because I could really tell in this one that his teeth were off center.
And not only that, but like his teeth were like his two front teeth were like a little bit oversized. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
he's had them filed down since then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Probably.
I
he's done
think
a lot
so.
to his mouth. Yeah,
What
yeah,
that mouth
it's
do?
well, it gets straighter and more, I don't know, picture worthy, I guess. I mean, it was a little bit distracting to me because I think I mentioned this during the Mission Impossible episode 2, which is actually the one of the first movie recommendations that went through.
Yeah,
By Callus too.
one
I
of
think I mentioned it
my
back
first
then, and
experience.
I don't remember it being as distracting back then. I remember it being, I don't know,
Yeah,
I don't remember getting distracted. But in this movie, there's a lot of close up of his face,
Yeah,
and
I
knowing
was
what he
about to
looks
say.
like now and how he looked like back then, it is a little bit distracting seeing his mouth being a little bit off center.
I
yeah.
think it
One
was fixed by. Sorry, it was fixed by the time Mission Impossible came around because that was 10 years later.
Oh, maybe it was. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
feel like in this movie there was a lot of like smiling like scenes and like just him kind of smiling, just kind of sitting there because like when he's in class, there's close up on his face, and then just a lot of like Yemi mentioned this earlier, just like a lot of close ups, like people like really close to each other and face to face like standoffs, I guess you'd call them. So maybe that's why it's so more noticeable. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like, I mean, obviously a lot of these scenes, they're like in small confined rooms or something like that, so they're like right next to each other in each other's faces. It's a very competitive scene in the Top Gun program, as we saw in the movie. So these guys are constantly in their faces, and in order to convey that, obviously with the cinematography, they put the camera right in Tom Cruise's face or right in Val Kilmer's face.
Yeah, a lot of
well,
close up face shots for sure.
yeah. While we're talking about the close-ups, can we talk about like the constant sweat that's on people's faces?
Yeah, I did want to bring
Very
that up,
hot.
especially at the end. I was like,
There's
"Why are you
no
guys so
AC on
sweaty?"
those boats.
But like even like just in not even in when they're like on the ships, like even when they're just on the base or wherever, like and the sweat just seems to be like in beads all over the face, like not even dripping. You don't see a single sweat like drip down their faces. They're just like very still on their faces.
I
Very
can
beaded.
understand, like being in the jet, in no up in the air, yeah, you have all the right to sweat, but when the guy's just like sitting there listening, I was like, "All right, you don't need to be sweating." It's like
I
a
was
little,
constantly being like, just wipe your face a little bit.
yeah,
Right?
Hey, if just think about the hottest day, having no AC and just fans.
and just being on the water all day, you got that reflection and all that.
Huh?
Just like being out in the water, you have no shade, just kind of
Oh,
just being out in the open
in the ocean.
in the ocean.
I guess, I mean, most of the movie was set on that base. It was
Yeah,
only at the
that's
beginning
true.
and end that were on the and on the out, in the ocean. But they
All
were
right,
still
true.
they were in like what, California, right?
I think
Yeah,
I so I,
California.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I
so.
say I can't
it gets
remember.
hot there. So
It does, unless you're right by the coast, but they were not right by the coast.
True.
yeah, I mean, it does seem like they kind of just were like, all right, we got to make it look hot, so they sprayed their face with water, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
it wasn't really moving. But yeah, I mean, they could have just had an actor like wipe his face real quick. I don't understand like why they had to have so much sweat beading on their faces.
All right, for
They
this scene, you gotta dump this bucket of water and then action.
they were probably like instructed not to touch their faces. They wanted like their sweat just perfect the way it was.
Yeah.
Well,
Just as a person with water on my face like that, it'd be so hard not to constantly trying to be wiping it off.
Yeah.
that is true.
Yeah, while we're on the subject of people being in close quarters and right up into people's faces. There was a little bit of sexual tension I felt between Iceman and Maverick.
Oh, all the dudes. It's a
All
very
the dudes, yeah.
homoerotic movie.
I wrote earlier at my review online that I was like, I couldn't understand if Ice and Maverick hated each other or just wanted to kiss. Like I was like,
Both.
I don't know.
It's both. The tension was real.
But speaking of hot and tensions, what do you guys think about Kelly McGillis in this and as playing as Charlie? And also, did you think that Maverick and Charlie's relationship was a little, I want a little cringeworthy, kind of, and a little like forced? I want to say throughout this movie, or do you guys think it was good? Like
No,
just the right
absolutely.
amount?
Yeah, I do think they jumped way too quickly into like, oh, by the way, we're in love now. It's like
Yeah,
it seems
because she
very
was rejecting
improbable.
him for like the longest time, and all of a sudden she's like, "I'm in love with you." I'm like, "What?"
But it's typical. We've talked about this in so many different movies, like the typical Hollywoodization of just relationships.
It makes a little bit more sense in this movie as opposed to there was one movie we were watching and like all of a sudden like they just fell into each other's arms. I think it was Mission Impossible actually. Now I think about it. But yeah, I mean, in this movie, it's a little bit more understandable. Their relationship. They have more of a repertoire before finally engaging in kissing and
Yeah.
googly eyes and stuff like that.
And
So go ahead.
No one can resist the Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I about to say if Tom Cruise talked to you like that, you'd be falling in his arms.
Honestly, I think Val Kilmer looked better in this movie than Tom Cruise.
Oh,
Agreed. Agreed.
but yeah, probably. I don't know. I mean, I didn't compare or contrast, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, you can just look at a picture.
True.
Callus, what do you, who's let's all go through the hottest character in Top Gun.
I don't know about you guys, but I was swooning over a goose.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah?
this was
Oh,
great.
yeah.
I don't know. Goose's mustache needed to be trimmed a little bit.
It did. It did.
Yeah.
I think Val Kilmer's whatever they
Partner?
are, co-pilot or
Wingman. Yeah, Wingman or something.
that guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, his wing. He did like the Armstrong, strongman like move during the volleyball game, and I was like, yeah, that's for the ladies in the audience
Yeah.
right there.
Oh, yeah. That was Tom Stewart, right? Or
I
No.
don't know.
Viper?
No,
Viper?
no, that
No,
was
it wasn't Viper. It was
Chester?
no.
Slider. Definitely Slider. It was Slider.
Yeah, it was Slider.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
or
was like-
Wolfman.
Okay, so this kind of leads me into my major kind of little criticism for the movie. I'm sorry to kind of derail it a little bit, but
Go ahead.
there's like 3 characters that I recognize in the movie, and then everyone else is just like, I see this guy, I don't know what his name is. I don't know who he
Yes.
is. Like at the end, the guy's name was Merlin. I'm like, who the hell is Merlin? Like, when was he in this movie ever before? There's so many characters who are like, okay, he's got his name on his helmet, and I look at it for a second, but there's no personality to go with it, no nothing. They're just kind of like, there's just a whole bunch of characters who don't get any story. And then at the end of the movie, when they're going through the credits, it's like, and this guy played Wolfman, and this guy played, whatever. And I'm like, who are you?
So what's funny is like so I had never seen this before, but I had friends who talked about it a lot, years ago, and they would always be like, "Oh, well, I got to be Wolfman. I'm going to be," and I'm just so watching this. I'm like, same thing with what you were saying. It's like I don't remember any. Like I remember them mentioning him maybe once or twice, but I couldn't tell you which one was which.
Right.
I do remember seeing like Merlin during like one of the training sessions, and then him appearing again at the end. But yeah, everyone else is like a complete toss-up as to who was who.
But that's kind of crazy because they like reference these, like not reference, but like in the beginning, they announce everybody, and then at the end they also announce everybody. It's just like, okay, like, but who are they?
Yeah. It's also weird that Tom Cruise is at the end of that list too. Like,
Oh, was he?
Was he? I
yeah.
thought he was first.
No, he was at
he was
in
at the
the
end.
yeah,
In
in
the
the
beginning?
credits he was all the way at the end.
Oh,
That's
really?
the special and Tom Cruise.
Well,
I guess
mean,
best for last.
Yeah, exactly.
they didn't know what his career was going to be like.
Well, yeah, I mean, when this movie in the 80s, I mean, yeah.
86.
86.
But I still like going back to our conversation before this. I mean, I still think Val Kilmer looks the best in the movie.
Yeah.
I think he fits the character he's playing really really well too, which I guess harkens back to the acting too. Like,
Yeah.
you know, he's just so good at being like, I guess he's kind of arrogant, but he's also like
About
a
to say
by
the
the books
cocky,
kind of guy, and he doesn't like Maverick because Maverick doesn't play by the rules.
because Maverick is dangerous. He says, right?
Even
He's
though he's the one who
dangerous.
sweeps in front of Maverick to cut out his engines in the middle of the movie, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
But the reason I started this little topic is I also think like the way Maverick was trying to, and I get it, it might have been the time, day and age, but the way he was trying to pick up uh, Charlie and the way he was just like going into the women's room to get her, I was just like, hey, this is a little cringe, a
Yes, it
little
was.
too much. And then he
Agreed.
kept trying over and over. I was like, okay, this is a little awkward.
So the one thing I learned from this movie is that if you want to flirt with a girl, it is okay to follow them into the women's bathroom.
Yeah.
Bad Kels, bad Kels.
Yeah. I mean, I do kind of like the way that he tried to pick her up at the beginning with the song.
Yeah.
That was actually kind of fun. But it didn't work all the way.
Yeah.
It kind of worked, but then it didn't work. It's also weird that he thought that she was like dating that old guy that she sat down with, who I think was one of the flight instructors for Top Gun.
Yep.
I find it weird that he was like, sorry to, or what did he say? He said something about like, he's too old for you or something like that. And she was like, what the hell?
Yeah. Or you need why hang out with the old nut job or something like that compared
he
to
was. He
then
said
she was
something
like,
like, "Sorry, like he said something like about, I need you. You're making a big mistake with this guy, with this older guy."
and
So
then
yeah,
after
Yeah,
you make a
yeah, that
he did
was
mistake
say
it.
he's
with
Yeah.
the
gonna rescue
younger,
her.
yeah,
Right.
or yeah, then why would I make a mistake with the younger guy like you or something?
Yeah, that.
So yeah, there are aspects of that relationship that, as Greedy said, kind of cringy, But as I said before too, it's like it's a little bit more understandable that they get together in the movie, unlike other ones we've watched in the past.
And then I
For
liked
sure.
how near the end how they brought back that song. When they got back together, that was a nice touch.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
on the jukebox.
But I also
Speaking of
feel like,
songs, okay, go ahead, Greedy.
yeah, I also feel like Charlie was only brought into like the relationship aspect because she had to like be the important piece to his fighting career. I feel like she had no other role besides that.
I mean, it's a pretty big role. I mean, to be the one of the flight instructors.
Yeah, but I'm saying like instead of like trying to make it a weird relationship, they could have just had like a weird bar night, and then the next day he could have been like, oh yeah, and then that could have been a good way to bring her in, but instead of just trying to force a relationship.
So you're saying instead of walking into the bathroom, he should have left it there and then came and then noticed it tomorrow.
Yes.
No, I'm just saying like they could have just had like they could have met there and then they could have just had like a flirtatious night and then the next day be the awkward scene. No.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Well, I mean, she knew that a lot of those pilots there were going to be like in her class for Top Gun, so I guess she was trying to avoid anything like that.
Yeah, I guess. All right, what are you gonna say about music, Yemmy?
Speaking of music, can I still use that transition?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
One of the best ever written songs for a movie, uh, for this first film, by fuck, I had it
It
in my
was about
brain
them.
all day today. Power to
The Danger Zone.
the danger zone.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best 80s kind of like made for the movie songs ever. Like here's
Mhm.
I was watching I don't remember what the movie was called, but it had like three, it was another 80s film, and it was just like it was another song that was made for the movie, and it was just like very straight to the point. They just said the name of the film over and over and over again, and I was like, wow, this is kind of like lame. But then you get the Top Gun, and it's like do 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 down 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 down. It's like I think I just did Buckethead on accident, but you get the point. Like,
Yeah, we get that.
it's such a good song, and I love how they play it throughout the entire movie. Like, it's not just at the beginning; it's through it. You know, like when that song comes on, you know the jets are taking off, and they're gonna get flying out there.
Yeah.
Well, a
Although
lot of people.
I was going to
Oh,
talk about the soundtrack for this movie is like 4 songs long.
yeah,
Yeah,
but they're great songs. They're classic hits.
yeah, they got 4. They paid out the butt for 4 really good songs.
Well, I was counting the Danger Zone song.
And well, they pay.
Well, they paid out the butt for that for sure. I know the name of the artist is on the tip of my tongue.
Kenny
Um,
Loggins.
Yeah,
or
Kenny
something?
Loggins. He was huge back then, so they probably paid a lot of money to him to get that song
Yeah.
made, and it paid off. I mean, it's still one of the most recognizable songs to come out of like a movie ever.
I didn't even realize that that song was made for this movie. Like,
Yeah, I didn't either.
It's such
Oh,
a
that's why,
recognizable
Oh, you guys
song.
didn't know, huh? Well, yeah,
No, I
it was
didn't know,
it was
yeah. I
made
know.
for this movie.
I know, but
That's because
uh,
it was DLC for Rock Band, and in the Rock Band trivia, it said that. So
Oh, okay.
but I know like a lot of people like when they hear the song, they're like, "Oh, this is from Top Gun." And like back then, I was like, I never seen the movie, and now here I am. I'm like,
yeah,
oh
it's good to have like some shots of the movie in your brain when listening to it now,
Yeah.
being like, yeah, getting those feelings back of a jet getting ready to lift off. It was always kind of hype when that song started up and the jet engine started roaring.
So speaking of jets, though,
I about to say, let's go. Let's talk about the fight scenes. Or
so
something.
for me, I don't know how you guys felt, but I felt like the dogfight scenes didn't work. Like there was just a lot of singular shots of a jet kind of moving, and then you'd get a close up of a guy, and then there'd be a missile flying, but like you rarely got like any idea of how these jets were flying around each other, or it just didn't work for me. Like I was just like, what is going on this whole time?
Yeah, I
I
would have liked
completely
to.
agree.
Go ahead.
No, you first.
I would. I was gonna say is yeah.
Don't
There's a
forget
lot
about
of
the hands, guys. You can use the hands.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
there was a lot of scenes like yeah. There was a few times where I was like, okay, who's who? Even though the name's written right on the helmet, but sometimes it goes so fast. You're like, oh, is that Maverick or is that someone else? And then there was also a lot of scenes where like a jet will fly past and like the pilots are like putting their hands on the windows. I'm like, what are you like? Is that really how you look?
I didn't
Yeah.
notice that.
No, there was a lot of scenes where like the co-pilot or someone would like be like fully turned around like in the cockpit and like putting their hands on the windows to look.
Oh
I'm like,
well, they were trying to look
yeah,
around for the bogey.
yeah, but it's just I don't know. It seemed weird. I don't know. I'm not a pilot. I don't
I
know.
mean, how else are you gonna look around to see where the guy is?
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the opposite side of the scale than you guys. I thought that the jet scenes actually worked pretty well, especially for how they filmed them. Like they had actual pilots up there.
Don't put me in with the other two.
Oh, I thought you said that you agreed. I thought you said you agreed before.
Well, I was interrupted. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
But
Uh,
what I was gonna say is that I'm like actually kind of down the middle with it. I thought some scenes like really worked, and I did have like an understanding of what was going on. But then the other half, it was like, yeah, pretty lost. I have no idea what was going on, and like there's just so much flipping back and forth. But there are a couple of scenes, like when at the end when Maverick was like launching off of the ship, and you see like the camera filming backwards to where like you see him flying away from the ship. So like, how do I even describe it? You can
Like
see
on
the
the back of the
tail.
jet.
Yeah, you can see the tail of the jet, and you see it's like lifting off away from the ship. That was like a really cool scene, and I do appreciate some like really cool scenes that they picked up like that. But yeah, a lot of the scenes were just kind of like very quick and very blurry. So yeah, it's just half and half for me.
yeah. I mean, I get where you guys are coming from. But I think for the most part they did work for me. I was able to discern like kind of what was going on. I think the only dogfight that really was kind of screwy was the one where Iceman and Maverick went up in the air, because it took me a second to realize exactly where they were in the scale of everything.
mhm.
But I mean, like the first dogfight I thought was pretty good. Well, not really dogfight, but like the first intense
Training.
part where
Yeah.
they're going up
Yeah.
against the bogeys who are not supposed to be there. I thought that
Yeah.
was pretty well done. I
That was
understood
probably the
exactly what's
best
going
one.
on. And also the ending one, I felt like I was pretty on point with. I
I
knew
like the
kind of what
ending.
was going on. And
Yeah.
then there was also like Maverick's first time up in the air with Jenkins. What's that guy's name?
Jester.
Chester.
Yeah.
I also kind of like had a good understanding of what was going on there. I will agree that some of those like more minor flights that they did were a little bit less well done, I guess. But the biggest parts of the movie I felt were when the aircraft were in the air was actually pretty good in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say they were like awful, like, but they could have been better. And I think part of that was also just the limitation of what they had to work with and the effects they could do.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yemmy, you said that when Maverick and Ice were up together, like you said that one confused you a bit.
Yeah, because they were like flying next to each other, and then all of a sudden, Iceman went away, and then he flew in front of Maverick's plane. And it took me a second to realize what had happened because they didn't really show it too well. Because like they probably couldn't actually shoot that because they didn't want to endanger the pilots.
Hmm.
Well, he didn't really come like fly between them. Like what happened is that he was in front of Maverick, and because actually that's one of the few scenes that I did actually fully understand. So it's funny you mentioned that. But yeah, no, Iceman pulled away, and then his jet stream is like what caused Maverick to lose control. He didn't really like fly between them. It was just him flying away.
Yeah. See, I didn't get that at all.
Well, I don't know if it was necessarily from Iceman because later on he runs into one as well. Like I think they're jet streams of air that can screw up. I don't know.
Well, I mean, when
Yeah.
jets are flying, they're displacing the air around them.
Yeah.
So I understand that part of it. I just the positioning of the airplanes or the planes or the jets. Oh my god, was just a little weird to me in that scene.
I
It was
also
I'm
kind of
thought
interested.
cool, yeah, to see them move in unison and all that. So
I am interested to see how much like CG and stuff is done with the
the new one.
newest movie
yeah,
because I mean this movie was I mean look it's a lot of practical stuff. They thanked the Air Force Academy at the end of it for allowing them to film their pilots doing stunts and stuff like that. So it'd be interesting to see if they keep with that kind of way of filming where they actually have real craft go up in the air and film them and because it could just be a big CGI fest and then that kind of takes away from the movies.
yeah. I heard nothing but good things about the new movie.
Yeah, you'll be happy to know, Yemi, that Tom Cruise specifically wanted as much like real footage as possible. So that's one of the things he brought to the filmmaking to the production, like just him wanting real pilots out there, like real.
Yeah.
Just everything as real as possible. So the CG should be kept to like a bare minimum.
That's good.
Yeah. I've heard good things about it. So
I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to recommend it because I want to see the new one.
So
I compared the
was
two budgets. If you want to know that real quick.
no. What's the budgets?
Go ahead.
So for the first one is 15 million. The second one is 170 million.
Well, what's
Wow.
the 15 million with inflation and everything?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, probably not really that much more. Like 25 million, maybe.
They
I'd
had to
probably say
pay a
like
lot
70.
more.
Yeah,
Really?
probably 80,
Oh,
90,
wow.
maybe.
Yeah, inflation is crazy.
True.
And if you think of it too, like Tom Cruise, Val Kilmer, these are all bigger names now than they were in the past too. So they probably had to pay them more money.
Yeah.
Production
Well, I'm
costs are
sure
probably
Tom
higher.
Cruise produced it, so
He
Oh,
did,
well.
yeah.
Okay, so maybe not that, but
Well, I mean, that means just he got paid double then for acting and producing.
there you go.
That we can say too.
Oh, so I thought it was weird. Like when they go to Top Gun school, and the first thing is like you're going to be up against pilots who are in faster and more maneuverable jets, and I'm like, why don't you use those jets?
Yeah. Well, you got to train. I mean, the United States Air Force doesn't really use those jets because the enemy does, but not the
Yeah,
United States.
but if
Yeah,
they're faster and more maneuverable, why aren't we using them?
well, the F-16s have like other positives to
features?
it. Yeah, other features
Oh,
that
okay.
makes it better, like capable of carrying more ammunition and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, that's kind of what I figured, but I was just like, come on, why aren't we using that? But really, I mean, this point in life, we don't use jet pilots like at all.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, it's a lot of drones.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm sure we still have jet pilots. Don't get me wrong, but they're doing other things.
Yeah, I have a cousin that's actually in the Air Force in Dominican Republic, and so he flies around in jets.
Ah.
Zoom zoom. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, you say that the MiGs are more maneuver, or they say that in the movie. Didn't really seem like it, like
Yeah.
in that last fight scene with Iceman and Maverick up in the air. Like Maverick and Iceman were dodging pretty much everything, and the MiGs were just like, "Oh, there's a missile coming. I'll just stay on course."
Yeah.
I
Like they're
think the
guided
MiGs are
missiles,
just
so
faster.
yeah, maybe they are just a little bit faster, but that's the thing. Like, they were doing these maneuvers to get out of the way of the missiles, but like the MiGs, I don't think Maverick or Iceman missed one shot,
Yeah,
No, Maverick
Well,
missed
yeah,
one.
yeah, Maverick missed
yeah.
one.
But that
Yeah.
was when the guiding system wasn't on, so
Yeah. Yeah.
he was just trying to do like a cheeky 360 no scope.
Yep.
And the
But
jet.
yeah, I do feel like the
MiG,
enemy bogies were faster because they did come in pretty fast on ice. So
And there seems like to be much smaller too.
yeah,
yeah, they only had one men crews as opposed to the two men that was the American version.
hmm
Right.
It is interesting that the Air Force had like two or three MiGs to train with. You wonder if they were like captured or
They were just
produced.
older jets.
Well, that yeah, you are right. Because
But
even like the first scene, like these fighters can't do an angle of blah blah blah, and then Maverick's like, are you sure about that?
want me to see me do it again? So anybody else have? I'm just gonna kind of move on.
I
Well,
think
quick. While we're talking about like the jet scenes, like when Maverick is inverted upside down, like just over the big, and he does the middle finger. Do you guys notice how weird that scene looked when they try to
Yeah,
show the two jets?
yeah, that
Yeah,
was very weird. Then
I
the
mean,
Polaroid.
for the time, it's like all right, the splicing isn't amazing, but it gets the point across.
Yeah. All right,
I
Greedy, go
think it
ahead.
would. I think it would have been harder to understand what was going on if they didn't show that fraction of a second of a scene.
True.
Mhm.
Because it could have been like, oh, he's just flicking him off while he's going past him. How does he see that? Well, gets right in their face.
All right. Yemi talked about how they had all these jets to practice in. Let's go to the crash scene. um, were you guys a little saddened by it?
well, for me, I knew Goose was going to die.
How so?
I just well, just because you know, I friends told me forever ago.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
also pretty popular media, so
Yeah. I just didn't know how he was going to die. So it was a little like I was a little surprised. I was expecting him to like go down in a dogfight, like actually fighting, like at the end
brutal
of the
death.
movie, not right in the middle of it.
Get his head crushed, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that it's nice that they didn't do this whole plot where like Maverick was being blamed by the Air Force or whatever, and he had to prove his innocence or whatever. I think
Mhm.
that's nice that instead of doing that whole run around, he was just it was just a straightforward case. Because and probably if they had made this movie back or today, they probably would have been like, oh, Maverick's under investigation because
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
Tune in on Top Gun 2, Maverick. And who knows? They could bring it up again. Maybe they found some evidence and it's
No,
hidden
he
clues.
was
Yeah.
cleared.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I think they're going to reference. I mean, they're going to talk about Goose in the new movie, but I don't think they're going to rehash over that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, going back to what you wanted to talk about, yeah, it was a sad scene, and yeah, well, like Tay said, I wasn't expecting it there. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it was just kind of sudden.
I mean, me
It
personally, I knew something was coming up because I kind of figured, it's the final for the Top Gun rating. So I figured, I was like, all right, something, or I feel like, just Maverick being so cocky, I was like, something has to be coming soon. But I did not expect a death by Goose.
Well, he was like the most likely to die because out of all the characters, he's the only one that was shown to have a wife and kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And the other guy who they did show their wife and kids was that the other guy who dropped
Cougar.
out of
In the
yeah,
beginning.
at
Yeah.
the beginning. So
That
maybe
is a
that's
good
maybe
point.
that was
I
a little
didn't-
bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
thought
even
he was
think
gonna
about that.
die. Yeah,
Didn't even think
No,
about
he got
that.
out before he died.
Yeah, he almost died.
yeah.
He,
He's
he
like,
got scared
"Nope,
out
I
of
can't
it.
do this anymore."
Yeah, that's a good point there.
Good investigation, Callus.
Wait, what?
I said good investigation on
Oh, thanks.
that. But continuing on the goose, tragedy. What do you think I don't know, maybe it's a Navy SEAL thing to do, but him throwing the dog tags over
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
seas,
no,
I
that
was
was
like a little head scratch on that part.
yeah, that was kind of. I was like, one, that should have gone to his family. Two,
Yeah.
why you like suddenly like, Goose, I got over you. See you later.
Eat?
Well, that was
Yeah.
it. Like the other guy told him, you gotta like let him go. So that was him letting him go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
To
the
the
dog tags
ocean?
helped him in
Yeah.
the whatever that was, right? In
Yeah.
the sky. So why would he throw those away when they actually gave him confidence and allowed him to go on with his duties? Like
Yeah.
just either keep them or give them to his wife and kid. Like
Yeah, I was a little confused on that scene.
great
And
balls of fire.
That's what Maverick's about. Is the
Yeah.
family finally coming after him like, hey, what happened to Goose's dog tags?
I don't
He's
know,
like,
Reggie.
The
The Titanic theme starts playing, you know.
Visualization, you guys. It's all about Hollywood visualization. He needs to let go of this character, so he literally threw him off the ledge. So not the ledge, but overboard.
From the little I know of the new movie, like it seems like they were just kind of like, oh no, this guy Maverick's coming to teach at Top Gun. When it's like this movie ended with him teaching at Top Gun. So what? I don't know. I guess we'll have to watch the new movie to see.
Yeah.
But
Tate's gonna recommend the new movie. I'll have to go to theaters.
no,
Well,
I
at
don't
least
have-
we
I don't-
can now.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't do that.
Yeah. But going off of more, tragedies, the U.S. The pilots that got killed, at the end dogfight, they didn't mention anything else.
They didn't die.
Yeah.
They did?
They ejected.
Yeah, they ejected.
Oh,
in
they
time
ejected.
and-
That's right.
and
That's right.
That's why he's like, send out the rescue chopper because they were going to
Yeah.
get
And
the
then
guys
there's
who
the
fell
shot
in
of
the
them
water.
getting off the rescue chopper, and they're still alive and kicking.
Yeah, it was a quick scene, so I don't
Yeah. If you blink,
I don't
and
blame you
missed it.
for missing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought
they
they died,
lived.
but now that you say they ejected, yeah.
Now, if you're asking me what their names were,
I
can't
think
tell you.
I think that was
Wizard?
Wolfman in Hollywood.
Holly,
Yeah, I think it was Wolfman. I don't know.
who knows?
Who knows?
I am not sure.
We're gonna have some angry comment in the YouTube. Like, oh my god!
It was murdered and blah blah blah.
Well,
Hey,
yeah, I tried.
I'll accept any comments, hate or otherwise.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, any other scenes you guys want to talk about?
No, I'm good.
How about that sex scene in the movie, huh?
That seemed
little
awkward and
cringe,
weird.
Yeah, a little cringe.
Yeah.
It was a lot of like they almost were like magnets that were polar opposite, right? Or no, you know how magnets, if you put the same end together, it'll bounce back. Basic science shit. Okay,
Yeah. And I'm
That's
sorry,
what
a little.
that's what it
Well,
kind
no,
of
but
seemed
Polar
like.
opposites. They were.
They just kind of bounced off each other a lot, like with the smooching. They were kind of like
Yeah, a
they were
little
kind
too
of like
much
hovering
tongue.
over each other, and yeah.
Well,
Too
there was
much
just so
tongue.
many like weird, slow slow pauses where kind of the bouncing off thing where they're just like would stare at each other and then slowly go. It's like,
Mm.
okay, if you got into this point and you usually don't take it this slow. It just
Well,
seemed weird.
Even the scene where they're kissing on the motorcycle, or whatever, is just the same thing. It just seems awkward. I'm just like slow, and then a lot of tongue. I was like, all right, what's going on?
Yeah, there was a lot of tongue.
Well, that's why you guys should have watched the extended version so we can see Maverick and Iceman.
Oh.
Oh.
All right, I gotta get that. Gotta get that.
Yeah.
Going on Amazon right now.
Yeah, the extended version adds 30 minutes of more tongue.
And volleyball scenes.
Yeah, I'll say it's the
Yes.
volleyball scene that's he
There's a
doesn't go.
there's a parallel universe where he doesn't go to the date and he just stays there playing volleyball.
Yep. And then it leads to him and Iceman.
There you go.
I want that version. No, I'm kidding.
Right?
Fanfic. Let's make it right here. Let's make it happen right now.
Yes.
All right,
let's
Cal,
go.
start us off. Iceman walked into the room, sweat beading on his face.
Not moving.
16
Maverick,
showing.
Maverick walks in. Doesn't look like you're too iced today, man.
Anyways,
And then they make out. The end.
slow
and
and
then
awkwardly.
he killed the dog.
Go back.
Go back.
God damn it,
Anyway,
that thing.
then Maverick runs his hand through his ice hair. All right. Anything
Getting a little-
else?
it's getting a
Yemmy,
little
were you,
sweaty in here.
were you gonna say something else, Yemmy?
No,
I need
that was my final joke of the day.
Okay.
I need to turn my EC on.
All right. Well, anyone else have anything they want to talk about?
I'm
Any more
good.
fan fictions you guys want to?
Well, that's a different podcast.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll save that for the After Hours podcast.
Ooh, a good name for the podcast too.
There you go.
All right, y'all.
After Hour Film Freaks podcast.
Yeah, Film Freaks After Hours.
Ooh.
Didn't we already have a name like Film Freaks with like 3 X's at the end?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Even better.
All right, Greedy, start us off with your final thoughts and rating.
Okay, Top Gun, 1986. I enjoyed this movie. It was a good watch. A lot of interesting movie. I loved the storyline. Kind of going into it, kind of didn't know what it was about, even though it's been out many years. A lot of people talked about it, but I knew of it. The acting was phenomenal in it. Enjoyed the acting from, especially from Val Kilmer and Tom Cruise and Kelly McGillis. Just overall well acting. Dogfight scenes, yeah, were a little iffy, but like Callis, down the middle. Just hit or miss here and there. Huge cringe from the relationships. Sex scenes, kissing scenes, just didn't fit right, and they could have executed that a little better, I thought, and just the whole relationship aspect was a little off-putting. The ending, I thought the ending was a well-fitted movie. They graduated and they're like, all right, we got to get you into action. I thought that was good. I'm excited to see the second one. I think it's just now seeing this and knowing the second movie comes out and there's a lot of high talk about it. But overall, I'm going to give this movie a 4.5 out of 5.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. All right. As for me, like I said, the acting was good. The overall story for me was, okay. Like it wasn't bad, it wasn't good. Like wasn't like great, I should say. It was good. The what was I gonna say? The soundtrack for this movie I actually didn't really like too much besides Danger Zone. Danger Zone's a great song. But the fact that there was like no other really good songs. And then like the dogfighting scenes were a little like hard to follow at times, and see what was going on. So overall, it's just kind of a middle of the road movie for me. So I'll give it a 3 out of 5.
For me, like when I originally saw this movie for the first time, like I want to say like 2 years ago, I thought it was good, but I said to myself, "Oh yeah, I guess I don't really need to watch it again, so I'll be fine not watching this movie again." But when Greedy recommended it, I was like, you know what, I actually would like to watch it again, especially because I do want to see the new one, and I want to kind of be reminded of it. And watching it again, um, I got about the same feelings actually. It was like a good movie. It has some enjoyable parts. It's not a bad movie, but not great. Not one that I would want to watch again soon, but maybe it's like way down the line. I'll probably watch it again. But yeah, for me, I would just give it a 3.5 out of 5.
All right, I'm not used to going last. That's good. That's a new treat for me. Um, I enjoyed the movie. I think. I mean, I'm not like a super fan of it. I thought it was good. I enjoyed my time watching it. There were a few moments that kind of slowed down, like the relationship scenes and stuff like that. Kind of slowed the pace down to a crawl. There was at one point I was getting a little antsy in my seat because I was like, oh boy, this there's some parts just kind of dragged on a little bit for me personally, but I think for the most part it has a pretty good plot to it. I like a lot of the characters, even though a lot of them just like don't have any story or presence at all. There's kind of like mentioned once or shown once, and then it's like, oh, that's that guy, and then he's gone, or then he shows up in the credit scene. It's like, who is that? So they could have done a little bit better at fleshing out some more of the characters. But I thought, yeah, Val Kilmer was like a standout in his performance here. Tom Cruise was good, and the rest of the main cast was good too. Didn't have any complaints about that. I thought the fighter scene, the action scenes, the dogfight scenes, etc., were fairly well done, especially for the time. I thought that the last one had a good amount of tension to it, while also being shot pretty well. So I didn't have any complaints there. And the fact that a lot of this is practical is also really cool to me too. I'm a big practical effects kind of guy, so I like seeing the actual jets flying around and doing maneuvers instead of just like a CGI plane moving around. So all in all, I'm a little bit more middle down the road like the rest of you guys, but I liked it a little bit more than you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and land at a 4 out of 5.
Oh, okay. I'm not the only one in the force.
And if you were, there was nothing wrong with that.
That is true.
So,
All right.
Tay, you have a movie for us? What you got?
I do have a movie. It's the most dumbest awesome movie ever.
Fast and the Furious.
It is Pacific Rim from what year? What year did this come out? I don't see it on here. From a year 2013. There it is. From Guillermo del Toro, starring Idris Elba, Charlie Hunnam, Rinko Kichi, and some others. Hold on. Raleigh. Oh no, Charlie Hunnam. I already said him. Yeah, there's others. I guess you want a synopsis. A war between humankind and monstrous sea creatures rages on. A former pilot and trainee are paired up to drive a seemingly obsolete special weapon in a desperate effort to save the world from the apocalypse.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Basically, it's giant robots smashing against giant monsters.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's awesome. It's dumb. It's wonderful.
If you want to check out the movie, it's on HBO, Amazon.
Yeah,
Apple,
HBO Max free.
YouTube.
Amazon, you have to rent it.
Yeah. Okay, well, this is going to be fun. This was actually on my list to recommend, so you got to it before me.
Nice. It's a great movie. I
I
love it.
just watched this last year, so it'll be a good revisit. Talk about CGI.
Yeah, I was saying.
Yeah,
Mine
lots
is
of
a
CGI.
CGI fest versus practical.
We know Tay's starting conversation.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have seen the second movie, but I know Greedy Waffles and I saw it together, so maybe we'll be able to kind of compare and contrast the two movies stylistically wise too, just because they are two very different beasts.
Very, very different.
So yeah, gonna be fun to watch this again. If you, the listener, want to join the conversation or not be spoiled for Pacific Rim, make sure you watch that before the next podcast episode airs in 2 weeks. Also in 2 weeks is the fan vote. Just remember about that. If you want to get your film in before that happens, just send us an email, comment on the latest episode of Film Freakz Z, or talk in my Discord to recommend a movie, and we'll put that in to the next vote. We got 4 movies lined up already, but yours can always be snuck in there at the last second. All right, folks. Anything else you guys want to say before we close out the show?
As always, be sure to wipe your or clean your ass.
There you go.
Of course.
Yeah, but also wipe your ass too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Unless
they do that too.
The only reason not to wipe your ass is if you have a bidet. Okay.
Well, in that case, you're cleaning your ass. So there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Even
There you
better.
Okay. I am Yemmy the Maverick, and I've been here with.
Top waffles.
Tay background character Mation.
And ice baby. Blue.
Oh, there you go.
Callus.
And we are Film Freaks with a Z. Thanks for listening. Power to the danger zone.
Ba-bam, 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 ba-bam.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.